For the fourth consecutive year, I am proud to welcome you all to the 2021 JDefenseAnime Awards. And what a year it was. I don't think I would be exaggerating when I say that ever since I started watching anime in 2014, and ever since I started following seasonally in 2017, this was my favorite year yet for anime. Between long-awaited and impressive adaptations of fan-favorite series, sequels to a number of popular shows, and a few standout original series that took me by surprise, I got just about everything I possibly could have asked for this year. As it came time to start picking nominees and winners, I found myself struggling to pick 6. Not because there wasn't enough, but because there were just so many deserving of recognition. In a few categories, I even found myself with shortlists of more than 30 nominees each that I had to trim down. And accepting that I'd have to cut so many of those nominees was a hard pill to swallow. But the decisions have been made, and now it's finally time to recognize the best of the best. As usual, before we jump into the actual awards, I just want to quickly go over the format of them and the requirements for an anime to be eligible. This year I introduced 2 new awards to the list, Best Supporting Character and Best Movie. Factoring these in, we have a total of 30 awards spanning 5 sections: genre, character, music, production, and overall. For an anime to be eligible for an award, it had to have aired in 2021, and I had to have watched at least some of it. This does include leftovers from the previous year, but it generally excludes currently airing ones. I also try to avoid nominating something for an award that it's already won in the past in order to acknowledge as many new series as I can. Movies are eligible for all awards except art and animation, so long as they either became available on streaming services or had their official Blu-ray release in the last year. And finally, do note that these awards aren't an attempt at being objective. They're my awards, and winners will be what I like the most. For those of you who aren't watching live, I'll include timestamps of each award in the description and comments so that you can just quickly jump to whatever category you're interested in. With the rules out of the way, let's kick off the show with genre awards, starting with Best Action. While I felt as though there weren't as many action shows this year as in years past, what was here certainly delivered. The nominees you see here today brought everything you'd want in an action series: fluid animation and high-intensity fights that never pulled their punches. The nominees for Best Action are 86, Demon Slayer the Movie, Mugen Train, Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel 3, Spring Song, Jujutsu Kaisen, Mushoku Tensei, Vivi, Fluorite Eyes Song. And the winner of Best Action is Jujutsu Kaisen. Oftentimes in action series, I feel as though there tends to be more emphasis in one-on-one fights. And while there's nothing wrong with that, and those duels that occur after some notable build-up can hit the right emotional notes, Jujutsu slightly deviates from that by featuring numerous memorable group fights, 2-on-1, 2-on-2, etc. And it's those fights with the added dynamic that I felt made Jujutsu stand out this year. It still has the high stakes, the intensity, and the expressive animation with characters jumping all over the screen and firing off a flurry of powerful techniques. But it also has that cool group dynamic to mix things up and allow the animators to play with a wider variety of set pieces that just blows the field wide open, with the best example being the Boogie Woogie fight in the second core. These unique fights paired with Mappa's fluid animation and the intensity the story brings to those fights made Jujutsu the clear winner to me. With the pandemic still wreaking havoc across the world in 2021, adventure was yet again another great genre to escape into last year. I never get tired of being introduced to a huge variety of characters spanning multiple factions and unique worlds full of their own lore. And if there's anything the adventure and fantasy shows excelled at this year, it was impressive world building. The nominees for Best Adventure or Fantasy are The Case Study of Vanitas, Dr. Stone Stone Wars, Slime 300, Mushoku Tensei, ReZero Season 2 Part 2, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2. And the winner of Best Adventure or Fantasy is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2. Slime was one of my favorite shows back when it debuted in 2018, and it continued to deliver with its second season, taking on a darker tone and more consistent antagonistic presence to drive the story forward. In doing so, it introduced many new characters and factions that further developed an already intriguing world. After a relatively lighthearted first season, I was caught off guard between this season's betrayals, notable character deaths, and a full-out war fought between Rimuru and a demon lord. But those events and what they did for the story and world building kept me coming back for more, and I'll keep on doing that as long as they keep the series going. But forget the wars and betrayals. Now it's time for some stress relief. The comedy and slice of life series that came out in 2021 had no shortage of fun characters, laugh-out-loud moments, and reaction faces that had me screenshotting for later use. One trend I noticed this year was a number of comedies centering around adults and the workplace, rather than the more standard high school rom-com stuff, which, as an adult who works in an office job full-time, I found myself being able to, relate to in various ways for better or worse. The nominees for Best Comedy or Slice of Life are The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated, Slime 300, Life Lessons with Uramichi Onisan, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S, My Senpai is Annoying, The Slime Diaries, and the winner of Best Comedy or Slice of Life is My Senpai is Annoying. As someone who's been reading the manga for this for over 2 years now and considers it one of my favorites, to say I was excited for this series would be an understatement, and it more than delivered on my expectations. Doga Kobo, who also did Gabriel Dropout, another one of my favorite comedy anime, knocked it out of the park with this adaptation. The animation did a great job of depicting the expressiveness of each character, the voice actors all perfectly captured their characters' personalities, and combining the two of those with the incredibly likable cast and their in and out of office hijinks had me genuinely laughing out loud in every episode. My Senpai is Annoying is one of my favorite comedies in recent memory. Last year, I lamented that I felt so indifferent to the drama anime that came out that I wasn't even able to come up with enough nominees to fill my usual quota of 6 per category. This year, that couldn't possibly be further from the truth. Drama was far and away one of the standout genres this year, with a diverse lineup of shows including both political and character dramas, and borrowing aspects of mystery and romance to create one of the best drama lineups I've ever seen. In dramas, I look for engaging stories, continuous and well-written character development, and big payoffs, and all of these shows delivered on all of those fronts. The nominees for Best Drama are The Aquatope on White Sand, Attack on Titan: The Final Season, Blue Period, Fruits Basket: The Final Season, Josei the Tiger and the Fish, Odd Taxi, and the winner of Best Drama is Fruits Basket: The Final Season. At its core, Fruits Basket is a character drama. The first 2 seasons gave us the opportunity to get to know its large and extremely varied cast, and this final season allowed us to see their stories to the end and say goodbye. I found myself very impressed with the way the final season was able to not just take the interconnecting threads of all of these unique characters and somehow effortlessly weave them all together in a way that allowed everyone to have a definitive end to their arc, but also cap off the overall story of the curse affecting the main characters. We also had numerous romance subplots come to fruition and an incredibly worthwhile, emotional payoff to the overall 60-plus episode journey. And after the credits of the final episode rolled, I was convinced. Fruits Basket is one of the best dramas I've ever watched. Continuing this trend, mystery and thriller was another genre group that featured some excellent standouts. This is my personal favorite genre in general, so I'm always particularly excited for any new shows falling under it, and boy did some of these series have me on the edge of my seat and clicking next episode right away. From murder mysteries to being caught in time loops, and paranormal activity to revealing long locked away memories, we were treated to a bevy of great thrillers. The nominees for Best Mystery or Thriller are The Case Study of Vanitas, Higurashi When They Cry, Go, Link Click, Miruko-chan, Odd Taxi, Sunny Boy. And the winner of Best Mystery or Thriller is Link Click. I was hooked on this series before even finishing the first episode, but the twist at the end totally locked me in. Link Click is an original series about 2 guys who can use photographs to temporarily enter the past and use that ability to solve mysteries while they're there. Like other time travel anime such as Steins Gate tell us, the past is better off not being changed, but as our main characters continue to investigate kidnappings and other requests, they find themselves embroiled in a bigger conspiracy than they ever could have imagined. The story and overall concept are further elevated by a tense soundtrack, multiple well-used insert songs, and brutal cliffhangers that pull you further and further in. Link Click is full of mystery and intrigue, and I can't wait for the second season after the jaw-dropping moment that the first one ended on. And now we already find ourselves at the final genre award, romance. Like with drama, I thought last year was pretty lackluster in terms of new romances, but this year totally flipped that on its head and delivered great romance in both drama and rom-com format. Romances are very dependent on the strength of the characters they're written for, and the series we got this year had plenty of likable leads, strong pairings, genuine progress, and worthwhile payoffs. The nominees for Best Romance are Fruits Basket: The Final Season, Horimiya, Josei the Tiger and the Fish, Komi Can't Communicate, My Senpai is Annoying, The Quintessential Quintuplets Season 2. And the winner of Best Romance is Fruits Basket: The Final Season. I briefly alluded to it when I was talking about it for its win of Best Drama, but Fruits Basket has a heavy romance aspect to its story as well, and it was seamlessly woven into the overarching story. I can think of nearly 10 unique pairings in the show that each get their own development. Each of these pairings have their own dynamics and are made up of different types of characters, and that makes each one feel fresh and interesting despite the sheer quantity of pairs that receive attention. No matter what type of character or dynamic you like, there's probably a ship here for you. And because of how well written the characters and story both are, it felt immensely rewarding to see some of these ships finally set sail after all of the build-up to their true feelings being revealed. Fruits Basket's final season packs in a ton of romantic progression, emotionally charged scenes, and satisfying payoffs across both the main and side couples, and it's a series that I'd confidently say any fan of romance anime should definitely watch. And with that, it's time for the next section of awards, characters. For me, characters are second to only the story in terms of how important I find them in a given piece of media, and this year sees the introduction of a new award in order to acknowledge more of the strong characters I enjoyed throughout the year. We'll start this section with the first character we tend to see, the protagonist. As the character we experience the plot through, an engaging protagonist is nearly vital for drawing you into the series. 2021 had a solid mix of compelling protagonists, both new and returning, and I particularly enjoyed that there were a few ones I found it easy to relate to, as that helps me better connect with them and their journey. The nominees for Best Protagonist are Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, Fuka Miyazawa from the Aquatope on White Sand, Hiroshi Odokawa from Odd Taxi, Rimuru from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Yatora Yaguchi from Blue Period, Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen. And the winner of Best Protagonist is Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. If I'm being honest, up until this most recent season, I was never big on Eren as a protagonist. Sure, I enjoyed seeing him gradually change as his worldview grew, but I generally found my interest lying more so with the supporting characters. Well, no longer. Eren is an entirely different beast in the final season. Now that Eren has been exposed to the true nature of the world, he shifts into extremely morally gray territory, and I often felt like I didn't know what Eren was truly thinking or what his ultimate objectives were. And I mean that in the best way. Eren has developed into a very interesting character, and I can't help but eagerly await the next time he appears on screen to find out what he's going to do next. Standing opposite the protagonist and pushing them to grow at every turn is the antagonist. My favorite antagonists are ones who I can find ways to empathize with, as it makes their opposition to the protagonist feel more grounded and believable. Though that's not to say there's anything wrong with a powerful and scary enemy who's a constantly looming threat either. The nominees for Best Antagonist are Akaza from Demon Slayer the movie Mugen Train, Akido Soma from Fruits Basket: The Final Season, Mahito from Jujutsu Kaisen, Sakura Mato from Fate/stay night Heaven's Feel 3 Spring Song, Tsukasa Shishio from Dr. Stone Stone Wars, Yano from Odd Taxi. And the winner of Best Antagonist is Sakura Mato from Fate/stay night Heaven's Feel 3. Sakura is a prime example of the type of antagonist I enjoy most, one who I can easily empathize with. Sakura is an antagonist who didn't even start off in that role, but in the first two movies we can see her gradual descent as she's pushed more than before. Heaven's Feel 3 finally unleashes a broken Sakura teetering on the brink of being unable to return to her past self. The film puts Sakura in a position to push Shiro and Rin to their limits, but does a great job of framing her inner conflict with the role she's been forced and manipulated into playing. Despite her opposing Shiro, you can't help but want her to be saved and find happiness. Heaven's Feel 3 delicately walks that balance between depicting both the light and dark sides of Sakura, making you feel for her even when she's the enemy, and that makes her my favorite antagonist of the year. And now we move on to our first new category of the year, Best Supporting Character. While the protagonist and antagonist are often main focuses, there's no denying the importance of the supporting characters and all of the ways they can enhance the series. And this year there were a lot of great supporting characters. This is one of the categories where my shortlist was absurdly long, with nearly 40 characters appearing on it as potential nominees. But it had to be narrowed down and a choice had to be made. The nominees for Best Supporting Character are Eris Boreas Greyrat from Mushoku Tensei, Matsumoto from Vivi, Megumi Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen, Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, Shigure Soma from Fruits Basket, Yuki Soma from Fruits Basket. And the winner of Best Supporting Character is Shigure Soma from Fruits Basket. Shigure became my favorite character from Fruits Basket within a couple episodes of the first season, and the final season rewarded my early interest in him with some great scenes. Early on, Shigure comes off as a comic relief character with occasional moments of wisdom, but over time we get teased with a darker, more toxic side to that cheery exterior, which is shown in his wildly different dynamics depending on what character he's interacting with. The final season reveals Shigure's ultimate agenda and his true nature, and after the drip feed of hints leading up to it, it reaffirmed why I found him to be such an engaging character from the start. This is further emphasized with Yuichi Nakamura's ability to seamlessly switch between Shigure's light-hearted voice he uses as a front, and the deeper, more malice and anger-laced voice when he starts to speak his mind. Shigure is a character I found incredibly interesting, unpredictable, and ultimately entertaining, and one who I was always excited to see make appearances on screen. We've talked about protagonists, antagonists, and supporting characters individually. Now it's time to pull them all together and evaluate the overall cast as a whole. This year saw an incredibly varied lineup of shows that each featured just as varied casts, and while last year I said that it was a phenomenal one for this category, I think this year was even better. The nominees for Best Overall Cast are The Aquatope on White Sand, Attack on Titan, The Case Study of Vanitas, Fruits Basket, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Senpai is Annoying, and the winner of Best Cast is Fruits Basket. Of all the varied casts this year, I would say Fruits Basket was the most so. Full of interesting characters who don't succumb to traditional archetypal roles, the final season wraps up every character's individual and intertwining arcs in a satisfying fashion that made me truly appreciate their roles in the overall story. With such a huge cast, I'd say there's roughly 20 notable characters. Juggling all of them and their stories is no easy task, but Fruits Basket made it feel natural. I felt that just about every character in the series ultimately had their stories resolved in a way that gives each one the proper attention and respect, which really impressed me. Even the couple characters I initially hated at their first appearance had enough development and opportunity given to them to make an impact in the story that I often found myself sympathizing with them by the end. It's a cast full of people who support and care for one another, and one where I wanted everyone to find the happiness they searched for. Fruits Basket is full of lovable characters who feel believable, and saying goodbye to them at the end of the series wasn't easy, but they're a group more than worth getting to know. Best Girl is a category that, just about more so than any other one, is truly subjective and partial to one's own preferences. 2021, like 2020, had a strong mix of brand new and existing favorites competing for the ever-so-coveted title of Best Girl. Whether it was love at first key art or a gradual realization as they had a chance to shine in the series, anything can be the trigger that makes you choose your best girl. But ultimately, one reigns supreme to them all this year for me. The nominees for Best Girl are Beelzebub from Slime 300, Laika from Slime 300, Lisa Imai from Bang Dream episode of Roselia. Machi Kuragi from Fruits Basket. Nino Nakano from the Quintessential Quintuplets. Toru from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. And the winner of Best Girl is Nino Nakano from the Quintessential Quintuplets. When I watched the first season back in 2019, Nino was actually my least favorite of the quintuplets because of her standoffish attitude, essentially pushing her into an antagonist role. But Season 2 is practically the polar opposite of that, and adapts the arc of the manga that moved Nino to the top of my list. It's a very Nino-focused season, and gave her the development she needed to come into her own and really shine. While the other quints either haven't realized their feelings or haven't acted on them, Nino instead decides to take an offensive approach that totally shakes up the show. As Nino realizes the depth of the bond that she and her sisters share, and also comes to terms with her own feelings, she becomes the driving force of the plot that spurs some of the other girls into motion. Her great development from an antagonistic annoyance to an endearing tsundere was a lot of fun to watch, and easily solidified her place in my favorites list. Like Best Girl, Best Guy also heavily comes down to personal preference, and what makes someone a best guy will depend on the person. Personally, it's usually someone who I found really likable or just really entertaining to watch. The nominees for Best Guy are Harumi Takeda from My Senpai is Annoying, Izumi Miyamura from Horimiya, Kyo Soma from Fruits Basket, Noe Archiviste from The Case Study of Vanitas, Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, Sota Kazuma from My Senpai is Annoying. And the winner of Best Guy is Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. Picking Gojo was a no-brainer for me. From the first scene he's introduced, he exudes this captivating presence that just makes you want to see more and more of him. Aside from his top-tier design, he's an incredibly powerful sorcerer whose fights are a feast for the eyes, and that contrast with his more upbeat and funny personality makes him a ton of fun to watch in general. The brief scene of him calling Yuji and Nobara homewreckers, and then taunting Fushiguro is one of my favorites of the year, and Yuichi Nakamura perfectly brought both Gojo's power and antics to life. Gojo was one of my favorite characters of the year, and I can't wait to see more of him in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 when it comes out this year. To wrap up the character section, we have the award for Best Couple or Ship. Last year, like how I didn't think there were many great romance shows, I also had a lack of nominees for this category, but this year that was once again flipped on its head with tons of great actual couples, as well as exciting ships to watch play out over the next couple of years. The nominees for Best Couple or Ship are Rit and Red from Banished from the Hero's Party, Machi and Yuki from Fruits Basket, Toru and Kyo from Fruits Basket, Hori and Miyamura from Horimiya, Sakurai and Kazuma from My Senpai is Annoying, Miku and Tatsu from The Way of the House Husband. And the winner of Best Couple or Ship is Machi and Yuki from Fruits Basket. I'm not sure if it's a controversial opinion to pick Yuki and Machi over Toru and Kyo for favorite ship in Fruits Basket, but they were the pair that I found myself gravitating towards. Especially considering that Yuki is my favorite Fruits Basket character behind only Shigure, and Machi is my best girl from the series. Both Yuki and Machi experience difficult childhoods and aren't treated the way they want to be by their peers, yet they both see each other for who they truly are. Yuki understands that Machi isn't some freak who flies into a destructive rage unprovoked, and Machi knows Yuki isn't nearly as prince-like as everyone else seems to treat him as. It's the little moments between them that really sealed it for me. Yuki promising to make footprints in the snow with Machi, Machi making a bookmark out of the leaf that Yuki gave her, and of course, Yuki breaking the chalk, which was my favorite low-key romantic moment of the year and is the epitome of the deep understanding the two have for one another. Their dynamic works well, their relationship developed in a way that felt completely natural, and I was incredibly happy to see it come to fruition. And now it's time for the third section of awards and my personal favorite, music. To say that the music this year was good would be an understatement. I added a ton of openings, endings, OST tracks, and insert songs to my playlists, and many of them found themselves on repeat throughout the year as I just couldn't get enough of them. So let's just keep the ball rolling and jump right into the categories so that you can see exactly what I mean. As always, we'll start the music section with openings. Whether it's a banger of a song, eye-catching visuals, more ambient tracks more so serving to set the mood, or my favorite, the characters of the show dancing and singing, this year's lineup of openings was truly impressive and had just about anything you could ask for. The nominees for Best Opening are Kaibutsu by YOASOBI from Beastars Season 2, Super Affection by a Fate voice actor ensemble from Fate Grand Carnival, Pleasure by Warps Up from Fruits Basket the final season, Dive Back in Time by Baisha Jaws from Link Click, Love Supreme by Fauna from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S, Annoying Sansan Week by Igarashi, Sakurai, Natsumi, and Mona from My Senpai is Annoying. And the winner of Best Opening is Dive Back in Time by Baisha Jaws from Link Click. I fell in love with this opening right away thanks to the fluid character dances and flashy neon visuals in the chorus, and upon further watches and listens, found more and more about it to appreciate. The song, of course, is catchy on its own, and it being sung entirely in English made it even easier to get stuck in my head. But aside from the great character animation and colorful visuals, there were also a few cool shots depicting the relationship between Cheng Xiaoxi and Lu Guang that I found interesting and to work well in the opening. The first was a shot of Cheng's blurry reflection in a small piece of the city, immediately followed up by a clear shot of Lu Guang looking over a wider view. The second was the one of Cheng's eyes covered by a film reel while Lu Guang is unimpeded. I thought that these were creative ways to showcase how Lu Guang is the eyes of the operation, being the one who can see the bigger picture of the fragments of the past they enter, while Cheng Xiaoxi is restricted to his own personal field of view and generally relies on Lu Guang's guidance. That being said, Lu Guang can't do it on his own, as Cheng Xiaoxi personally experiencing the past is a vital component to them being able to solve the puzzles they encounter, and that's where the final shot of the OP comes in. The screen is split down the middle with Lu Guang and Cheng Xiaoxi occupying either side of it, and it shows how they're two halves to a whole. The operation to infiltrate and understand the past requires their partnership. Overall, the catchy chorus with the cool hand dancing animations and neon visuals are what really drew me in, but the added symbolism made me appreciate this opening more and solidified it as my favorite of the year. While the opening is a big way to draw in viewers, a well-rounded soundtrack will enhance those viewers' experiences with the show as they watch it. And just to clarify, this award focuses on the background music itself and does not include insert songs. 2021 had an excellent lineup of soundtracks, with many of my favorite composers all returning this year and delivering top-notch music, including Hiroyuki Sawano, Kota Yamamoto, Evan Call, Kensuke Ushio, Yuki Kajiura, Masaru Yokoyama, and more. The nominees for Best Soundtrack are 86, The Aquatope on White Sand, Attack on Titan the final season, The Case Study of Vanitas, Josei the Tiger and the Fish, Vivi Fluorite Eye's Song. And the winner of Best Soundtrack is The Aquatope on White Sand. Yoshiaki Dewa, the composer of Aquatope's soundtrack, has previously worked with Studio PA Works on some of their previous original anime like Iraduku and A Lull in the Sea, and this familiarity shows. PA Works originals tend to be emotional character dramas, and Dewa is able to use his prior experience working on similar shows with the same studio to craft an absolutely beautiful soundtrack that enhances Aquatope in every way. It takes a great tropical sound befitting of the setting and incorporates some mystical and emotional elements into that bass line to create an overall soundtrack that stays true to Dewa's sound while also preparing a track for any possible situation. As main characters Kukuru and Fuka struggle, overcome, and develop throughout Aquatope's 24-episode runtime, the soundtrack accompanies them every step of the way, letting us as viewers better understand their headspace in any given scene. The happiness as they spend time together, the pain as pent-up emotions spill out, and the sense of wonder as they experience mystical visions and delve into their passions in a journey of self-discovery and growth are all perfectly represented by the more than 60 tracks in this score. I imported the soundtrack from Japan and translated the titles using DeepL, so I don't know how accurate the titles are or when the soundtrack itself will be available online, but when it is, I would definitely recommend checking out the tracks listed on the screen, though really the whole soundtrack is worth a listen. But now, let's delve into the soundtracks deeper by awarding the single best OST track. This category isn't just about the song itself, but how the song was used in the scene it appeared in. Like the Best Supporting Character category earlier, this was another category where I ended up with a list of roughly 30 songs that I had to then cut down to the final 6 before picking a winner. From tense, bass-heavy tracks accompanying big cliffhangers, emotional pieces as characters struggled, and action anthems I won't be forgetting anytime soon, this year had a terrific selection of tracks to choose from. The nominees for Best OST Track are Aquatope from the Aquatope on White Sand, Hear My Voice from 86, If I Could Be Free from Josei the Tiger and the Fish, Spring Will Come When the Snow Melts Away from Fruits Basket, Violet's Final Letter from Violet Evergarden the Movie, The Warriors from Attack on Titan, and the winner of Best OST Track is Hear My Voice from 86. I honestly couldn't even tell you the number of times I rewatched the scene that Hear My Voice appears in. I was obsessed with the song and its usage, and I bought the soundtrack as soon as it came out so that I could have a copy of it for myself. The track begins quietly with some soft, slow piano, but then begins to pick up in intensity and speed as Lena desperately tries to contain her emotions. This continues until Lena reaches her breaking point, where there's a brief moment of silence from both her and the song before they both erupt, the song swelling at the same time that Lena lets out a scream, with the song eventually drowning out her cries as the screen is filled with red spider lilies, infamous for symbolizing goodbyes. That synchronization of the music with Lena breaking down elevated a great scene to the next level, and its impact on the scene combined with the music itself being fantastic is what locked it in as my winner for Best OST Track. Background music isn't the only important piece of a soundtrack though. Insert songs, despite not being used as frequently as BGM, are often reserved for some of the most important or most emotional scenes of the series, and I love when a well-timed insert hits just right. The nominees for Best Use of Inserts are Bang Dream Episode of Roselia, Link Click, ReZero Season 2 Part 2, Sunny Boy, Violet Evergarden the Movie, Vivi Fluoride Eyes Song, and the winner of Best Use of Inserts is Vivi Fluoride Eyes Song. Across Vivi's 100-year journey to try and prevent a war breaking out between humans and AI, we're treated to a great mix of insert songs performed by Vivi and side characters alike. Whether it was a straight-up performance scene, a lullaby to help people calm down during a disaster, or a reimagining of a previous track during a tense fight, Vivi had both the highest number of inserts, as well as the most variety in the types of songs. And while the other nominees certainly had either enjoyable songs or impactful usage, I felt as though Vivi had the best combination of the two factors, and that's what ultimately made it the winner in my book. With so many great insert songs this year, it was almost inevitable that the best insert song would be another category where I had a hard time cutting the list down, and even now I still regret not being able to include some of the ones I had to cut, because in years past they would have been definite nominees. As a huge fan of going to concerts, I was pleased with the actual performance scenes we got this year, on top of the usual heart-wrenching ballads and fist-pumping anthems. The nominees for Best Insert Song are Fluoride Eyes Song from Vivi, Sing My Pleasure Grace version from Vivi, Song I Am from Bang Dream Episode of Roselia, Sunny Boy Rhapsody from Sunny Boy, Thank You from Slime 300, What You Don't Know from ReZero Season 2 Part 2. And the winner of Best Insert Song is Fluoride Eyes Song from Vivi. Surprisingly, this is my first year of awards where the same show has won both Best Use of Inserts and Best Insert Song. From the start of the series, Vivi is given one order: to make people happy with her singing. Over time, she starts to wonder how she can do that, and comes to the conclusion that putting her heart into singing will accomplish that. But then, what does that mean? What is the heart? That's the main question that Vivi wrestles with as an AI, and it's the question she finally finds the answer to when she performs this song. Fluorite Eye's song is the culmination of Vivi's 100-year journey, the experiences she's had, the people she met, and the memories she made. It's a song that she herself writes to put those feelings into words, and one that she fittingly returns to where it all began to perform. The combination of the harmonies in Fluorite Eye's song with the lyrics and the context the song has in the story creates an emotional set piece that serves as a fitting end to Vivi's long journey. Considering her goal was to make people happy with her singing, I'd say she more than achieved that given how much I love the song and what it means to her and the story. To close out the music section, we'll finish with the award for Best Ending. While I can't say I get as hyped to check out the new endings each season as I do with the new openings, I still generally find EDs to be a bit underrated as a whole, especially when they have either a song with a nice tie into the show or some creative visuals. The nominees for Best Ending are Avid by Hiroyuki Sawano featuring Mizuki from 86, Believe in You by Nonok from ReZero Season 2 Part 2, Comet by Yoasobi from Beastars Season 2, Nai Nai by Rayona from Shadow's House, Overthink by Fonka from Link Click, Symphonia by Mika Nakashima from Tactope Destiny. And the winner of Best Ending is Avid by Hiroyuki Sawano featuring Mizuki from 86. To be frank, the visuals for Avid are pretty bland compared to any of the other nominees, but the reason I ended up picking it for Best ED, aside from liking the song itself quite a bit, is because of how the song is used in the show. It splits appearances with 86's other ED, Hands Up to the Sky, so Avid only appears in roughly half of the episodes of the first season, but it makes those appearances count. Something I often personally enjoy about endings is when the song starts playing before the episode actually ends, both to indicate that something big may be about to happen, and to ease you into the actual ED sequence. Avid does that multiple times, with my particular favorite instances being at the end of episodes 3 and 11 for the I Don't Want to Die and I Can Keep Walking scenes respectively. The slow pace and somber tone of the song fit the show to a T, and the way it's actually used in the episodes thanks to its ability to elevate those scenes, as opposed to being a song that simply plays at the end of the episode, is what made it my favorite of the year. With music wrapped up, we'll move on to the fourth section of awards, Production. The primary focus of the production section is on the visual aspect because I just covered all of the music, but it does also include voice acting. To begin this section, we'll first take a look at the background art, our ever-present backdrop that helps to set the scene. And this year's lineup was nothing short of spectacular. Gorgeous vistas, stunning depictions of nature, detailed cities, interesting use of color, the list goes on. The nominees for Best Art are The Aquatope on White Sand, Mushoku Tensei, Sunny Boy, Tactope Destiny, Vivi, Fluorite Eye's Song, Yuru Camp Season 2. And the winner of Best Art is The Aquatope on White Sand. I've always been impressed with the art in PA Works' original shows, and Aquatope was easily their best showing yet. Taking place at an aquarium in Okinawa, Aquatope's art is full of beautiful shots of the everyday scenery the cast lives in, the ocean, and the sea life they spend so much time interacting with and caring about. It's one of those series where I'd actually find myself pausing or rewinding at times so I could take screenshots or simply admire the artwork and all the effort that went into creating so many breathtaking shots. The next category deals not with the setting but with the cast. Best Character Design. Presenting a colorful cast of characters can only help draw a viewer in, and like many other categories this year, the list of potential candidates for this award was absolutely stacked, including fantasy worlds brimming with characters of different species, more unique art styles, and just attractive designs in general. The nominees for Best Character Design are The Case Study of Vanitas, Gambare Doki-chan, Girlfriend Girlfriend, Mushoku Tensei, Odd Taxi, Tactope Destiny. And the winner of Best Character Design is Odd Taxi. What immediately struck me about Odd Taxi and its unique world full of animals of different species all living together was how incredibly diverse the designs were. And as I got to know the characters throughout the story, I felt like even though they were animals, their personalities and designs were so well realized that I could even clearly picture what they would look like if they were human. And really, how many other anime can you say you've watched where the main character is a walrus, his love interest is an alpaca, his best friends are a gorilla and a gibbon, and who gets entangled in a Yakuza power struggle involving a baboon and a porcupine? Odd Taxi is already a unique show as it is, but the expressive, memorable, and outright fun character designs made the show more enjoyable and the characters stick around in my head for a while. The third and final visual category in this section is animation, the aspect of anime that makes so many people enjoy it because of all the unique things the animation can bring to the table. With both smooth and well-choreographed fights, as well as more minimal but still expressive character animation having solid representation this year, there was plenty of Sakuga to go around, and a lot for anime fans to appreciate. The nominees for Best Animation are 86. Jujutsu Kaisen, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S, Mushoku Tensei, Tacto P Destiny, Vivi Fluorite Eyes Song. And the winner of Best Animation is Jujutsu Kaisen. I briefly touched on what made the animation in Jujutsu Kaisen stand out to me back when I explained its win for Best Action, but the fluid fights operating on a huge sense of scale with lots of unique abilities and effects was truly just a sight to behold. Of course, that's not to say the fights were the only notable aspect of the animation. The domain expansion scenes where characters unleash their ultimate techniques all had a ton of flair to them that helped showcase each character's individual strengths and personality. And there were plenty of nice shots and examples of character animation. But the action is what really stood out as extremely memorable thanks to the well-choreographed fights and Mappa's extremely fluid animation that just begs to be rewatched and appreciated for all of the detail and Sakuga packed into each one. And now that we've covered the visuals, it's time to recognize the talented voice actors who brought all of our favorite characters to life this year. I've said it every year, but a great voice acting performance that truly embodies a character will make characters more believable, help us empathize and resonate with us emotionally, and add nuance to the dialogue. The nominees for Best Male Voice Acting Performance are Daisuke Namikawa as Ruijerd Superdia from Mushoku Tensei,
もう子供扱いはしないという意味だ。
Jun Fukuyama as Matsumoto from Vivi,
なるほどなるほど、思っていたよりもそうですね。人に言われるとムカッとくるものですね。
Natsuki Hanai as Vanitas from the case study of Vanitas,
俺はお前たちの意志に関係なく必ずヴァンピールを救ってやると。
Takehito Koyasu as Clayman from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2,
必ず報いを受けさせてやる。
Yuichi Nakamura as Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen,
気安く触らないでもらえるかしらん。泥棒猫ちゃんたち。めぐみちゃんはこれから私と一緒にバイオリンの。
Yuichi Nakamura as Shigure Soma from Fruits Basket,
ねえ、これ一個開いてみてもいい？よかった。あれよりはマシだ。
and the winner of Best Male Voice Acting Performance is Yuichi Nakamura as Shigure Soma from Fruits Basket. I briefly touched on Nakamura's performance as Shigure during my explanation of Shigure's win for Best Supporting Character. The reason that I enjoyed his performance as Shigure so much is because of his ability to seamlessly switch and fully embody both the cheery, lighthearted side of Shigure and the darker, more toxic side of him. Because he usually comes off as easygoing, those moments when that darkness comes out and his voice is just tinged with that malicious edge hit just right, and it was always satisfying seeing characters react to that side of him. Nakamura's performance as Shigure is a massive part as to why I enjoyed him so much as a character, as he represented Shigure's duality with ease. Following up that category, we have The Woman. Here are the nominees for Best Female Voice Acting Performance. Ai Kakuma as Eris Boreas Grey Rat from Mushoku Tensei,
夢じゃないかしら。ちょっとつねってみて。誰でもいいから助けて。
Kana Hanazawa as Druge from The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated.
もちろんです。ジャヒー様に任せていただけるなんて光栄の極み、究極の誉れ。
Maya Sakamoto as Akido Soma from Fruits Basket.
僕がイスズオ？初耳だね。誰から聞いたの？そんな話。
Mai Nakahara as Reina Ryugu from Higurashi Go.
自分で思ってるよりずっと人を楽しくさせる力があるんだよ。もっともっと頑張らないと。そっか。もっとレナが頑張ればいいんだ。
Rie Takahashi as Amelia from ReZero.
私の母様はホルトの母様よ。どうして約束守ってくれなかったの？
Tomori Kusunoki as Futaba Igarashi from My Senpai is Annoying.
ちらっと思っただけであげたりしないよ。絶対誰にも言わないでくださいね。
And the winner of Best Female Voice Acting Performance is Ai Kakuma as Eris Boreas Greyrat from Mushoku Tensei. Like with Nakamura as Shigure, I felt as though Kakuma did an excellent job making you believe Eris was a real character. Eris, more so than any other character in Mushoku Tensei, experiences a ton of character development, going from being a spoiled, annoying brat coddled by her parents to a powerful warrior recognized for her strength and setting off on grand adventures. And Kakuma nails both of those sides of Eris. Whether she's loud and belligerent, quiet and reflective, overwhelmed with joy, or scared to death, it really feels like we're hearing someone experiencing those situations and the emotions that accompany them. And after seeing Eris and the journey she went on, I can't imagine anyone else breathing life into her character the way that Ai Kakuma did. 24 categories later, here we are, the final section of awards. Overall. Aside from one or two categories, this section takes a step back and recognizes the anime as a whole, rather than honing in on specific components. This section begins with the award for my personal favorite part of any piece of media, the story. When it comes down to it, I watch anime, play games, and read books because I want to experience a great story. I want to be pulled along for the ride, experiencing all of the surprises, the twists and turns, the cliffhangers, and ultimately to go on a journey with the cast and see it through to the end. Nothing satisfies me quite like a great story can. The nominees for Best Story are 86. The Case Study of Vanitas. Fruits Basket, The Final Season. Link Click. Mushoku Tensei. Odd Taxi. And the winner of Best Story is Odd Taxi. Odd Taxi was a bit of a phenomenon when it first aired, an original series that went under the radar and then blew up seemingly overnight, and after checking it out for myself, I can completely understand why. Odd Taxi takes place in a world solely inhabited by animals, and follows our protagonist Otokawa, a walrus who works as a taxi driver. As Otokawa gives other characters rides in his taxi, he meets and talks to people from all walks of life and ends up getting involved in a missing persons case and a Yakuza power struggle. Odd Taxi is a fantastic mystery. It constantly drip feeds more information about the overall plot, and we gradually learn how all of these seemingly different characters are actually connected to each other as the situation gets more dire for everyone involved. Thanks to the gradual but consistent revelations we get, as well as some brutal cliffhangers, I found the series impossible to step away from. So much so, in fact, that Odd Taxi managed to make me do what very few series have ever done before. Binge the entire series in one sitting, because I just had to see what happened next. And it was well worth that binge, because it kept me guessing and continued to surprise me even up through the very last scene of the series. This is exactly the kind of engaging experience I look for in a story, and I would highly recommend that you check it out if you're even remotely interested in a great mystery and character drama. 2021 was a fantastic year for anime. There is no denying that. But even despite that, there were still anime that unfortunately slipped through the cracks and either didn't get the attention or the love that they deserved. The nominees for Most Underrated or Underwatched are The Aquatope on White Sand, Bang Dream episode of Roselia, Blue Period, The Case Study of Vanitas, Slime 300, Link Click, and the winner of Most Underrated or Underwatched is The Aquatope on White Sand. Aquatope, in my opinion, is the one show from this list that was both underrated and underwatched, not even ranking in the top 15 most watched for the season it came out in, and that's a shame. It boasts stunning visuals from Studio PA Works, a beautiful soundtrack from Yoshiaki Dewa, and an enjoyable story of two girls going on a journey of self-discovery and growth as they search for ways to make their dreams come true. They're supported by a large cast of fun and likable characters, and when the story came to an end, I found myself smiling and happy with the strong characters they'd all grown into, particularly the two leads, Fuka and Kukuru. From an engaging story to a fun cast to excellent production values, the Aquatope on White Sand absolutely deserved to get more attention than it did, and if you at all like character dramas, then I would definitely recommend checking it out. That brings us to our second new category of the awards this year, Best Movie. I normally stick to traditional TV series because it's easier to commit to 20-minute episodes than 2-hour movies, but it's something I've wanted to get more into, and I took that step this year because a lot of series I like got sequel movies. Sequels aside, a lot more movies tend to be original compared to TV series, so there's also a lot of opportunity for exciting new stuff when it comes to film. The nominees for Best Movie are Bang Dream Movie Episode of Roselia 2, Song I Am, Demon Slayer the Movie, Mugen Train, Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel 3, Spring Song, Josei the Tiger and the Fish, Violet Evergarden the Movie, Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop, and the winner of Best Movie is Josei the Tiger and the Fish. Surprising even myself, it was Josei rather than one of the numerous sequels to series I enjoy that ended up being my favorite movie of the year. It's a drama romance and tells the story of Josei, a physically disabled young woman who wants to experience the world but whose family is reluctant to let her do so, and Tsuneo, a college student dreaming of studying abroad. Their chance meeting sets off a chain of events that melts the ice around Josei and changes both of their lives. I really enjoyed watching their budding romance and seeing how the two leaned on and supported each other as they each faced their own struggles. On top of these two likable leads, the artwork is also gorgeous, depicting some beautiful scenery, and the soundtrack by Evan Call, who also composed the soundtrack for Violet Evergarden, heightens all of the major scenes. I thoroughly enjoyed Josei the Tiger and the Fish, and would recommend it to anyone who likes romance. And just like that, we're already at the final 3 awards, or the Big 3 as I've been calling them the last couple of years. Best Episode, Best Sequel, and of course, Anime of the Year. Best Episode was yet another category where I had 30 plus on my initial shortlist, and this was the second hardest category for me to pick a winner for this year. We had so many standout episodes full of emotional climaxes, major reveals and twists, and memorable scenes in general that I just can't believe we really got all of these episodes in the span of 1 year. I really think every nominee has a valid case for being the best of the year, and each for different reasons. But as usual, I'll keep details to a minimum so as to not spoil things. The nominees for Best Episode are 86 Episode 9, Goodbye, Attack on Titan Episode 64, Declaration of War, Fruits Basket Episode 61, Goodbye, Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 23, The Origin of Blind Obedience 2, Mushoku Tensei Episode 21, Turning Point 2, ReZero Episode 48, Love Me Down to My Blood and Guts. And the winner of Best Episode is 86 Episode 9, Goodbye. Goodbye is the episode of 86 that features the scene that includes my winner for Best OST Track, Hear My Voice, and it was my favorite scene of the year, which played a big role in making Goodbye the best episode of the year for me. But that wasn't the only reason. From the very start of the episode, we're dropped into a life-or-death fight that's been being built up to for a while, we're treated to a classic Hiroyuki Sawano insert song, we get a much-needed confrontation, and of course, we witness some emotional goodbyes. This episode also had some stellar sound design with the usage of silence at points amplifying the tension, as well as letting the intensity of the vocal performances shine through. On top of that, there are numerous scenes with striking imagery and symbolism, which added another layer to the episode to appreciate. Goodbye was a tense, emotional episode that embodies everything great about 86, and it's the episode that solidified the show as one of my favorites of the year. Last year, I called 2020 the year of the sequel, which is pretty funny in hindsight because this year we got not only more sequels than last year, but also more sequels of higher quality. From advancing the story in significant ways to just being overall improvements in literally every way, the lineup of sequels this year was nothing short of incredible. The nominees for Best Sequel or Spinoff are Attack on Titan: The Final Season, Dr. Stone: Stone Wars, Fate Stay Night: Heaven's Feel 3 Spring Song, Fruits Basket: The Final Season, The Quintessential Quintuplets Season 2, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2. And the winner of Best Sequel or Spin-Off is Attack on Titan: The Final Season. This win makes Attack on Titan 3 for 3 in winning this award when it has a new season, and to those who watched the final season, you can probably see why. The final season takes an already fantastic story and blows the field wide open, introducing a ton of new characters and partially taking place in an entirely new location. The series has shifted from a primarily action show to a tense drama over the years, and this season shows that it's all the better for it. The twists and cliffhangers had me on the edge of my seat for the whole season, and the voice actors, especially Yuki Kaji as Eren and Sakura Ayane as Gabi, all crushed it. Throw in a killer soundtrack from Kota Yamamoto and Hiroyuki Sawano, and you're just about guaranteed to have a good time. Attack on Titan has been one of my favorite anime ever since it actually got me into anime as a medium back in 2014, and this first part of the final season reaffirmed my feelings towards it. And now it's time for the final award of the show, Anime of the Year. 2021 was, at least ever since I started following anime seasonally, one of the best years for anime as far as I'm concerned. Between amazing sequels to many of my favorite ongoing series, to great adaptations of manga and light novels alike, to brand new original series that totally blew me away, 2021 never stopped delivering. Anime of the Year is an award meant to recognize an incredible anime that I could see finding a home in my top 25 of all time, and is an anime that I don't see myself forgetting anytime soon. So without further ado, let's find out what anime took it all home this year. Here are the nominees for Anime of the Year. And the winner of Anime of the Year is Fruits Basket: The Final Season. I've already talked about Fruits Basket quite a bit across its 6 previous wins in these awards, but it looks like I still need to talk about it one more time. The greatest strength of Fruits Basket's final season, of which there were many, was its extremely likable and well-written cast. They all have their own unique stories, yet these stories and arcs constantly intertwine, impacting one another to create something greater. One of the best character dramas and romances I've ever watched. The final season takes the stories and relationships that had been building up over the previous 50 episodes and somehow manages to cap off each one in a satisfying way that respects each character and the development they went through. Even side characters who would normally be no more than a second thought in other series get their own meaningful moments, and I think that showcases the level of care that original author Natsuki Takaya had for her work. But this anime adaptation took everything to the next level. Fantastic performances from all of the voice actors, a beautiful soundtrack from Masaru Yokoyama, a A script full of dialogue that felt natural and in character, and great directorial choices all elevated the source material, and that's the best you can hope for from an adaptation. I could go on and on about Fruits Basket's final season, how much I enjoyed the overall story and the note it ended on, how I'll be adding many of the characters to my favorites list the next time I update it, how I loved the romantic plot lines and the way they were all showcased in the end, how many screenshots I took, and how many times I got choked up as I watched these 13 episodes. But no matter what I say, I feel like I won't be able to do Fruits Basket justice. So I'll leave it with this. Out of everything I watched this year, there was no other series I got as emotionally attached to as Fruits Basket, and its ability to get me so invested in the characters and their stories is what ultimately made me choose it for Anime of the Year. When the credits rolled for the final time and I got choked up, realizing I wouldn't be able to watch the characters I'd grown to love so much anymore, I couldn't help but think of the admittedly overused, but still very applicable quote from Winnie the Pooh. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. And with that, the 2021 JDefenseAnime Awards officially come to a close. I'll be listing my full top 10 of the year on screen as I close this out, so stay tuned if you're curious about the full ranked list. The incredible mix of anime that came out in 2021 reminded me just why I enjoy anime as a medium so much. It's so unique and tells so many great stories that I can't help but find myself enamored with it all over again. And in the end, I'm just a random faceless guy who makes YouTube videos for fun to talk about a topic I love, so if you made it this far, then I want to say thanks for taking the time to watch it. I hope you enjoyed watching this award show, and if you did, please give this video a like or subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at JDefenseAnime where I'm more active. I'd love to hear what your own favorites of the year were in the comments below, and whether you agreed with my picks or not, because I'm always interested in seeing what other people thought and finding more anime to add to my watch list. Here's to another great year of anime in 2022. And as always, thank you so much for watching my video, and until next time.